And we will also transform the way we prepare our young people for those jobs. Bernie Sanders and I will work together to make college tuition free for the middle class and debt free for all.
That was Hillary Clinton at the Democratic National Convention last month. Today, Clinton's kicking off a busy week by hitting the campaign trail with Vice President Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. But it's unclear if Clinton will touch on what is now her most ambitious and expensive proposal for America. You just heard it, making public college tuition free. Joining us to discuss is WSJ's Laura Meckler from Washington, D.C. Hey, Laura, thanks for being here.
Sure.
So first of all, Clinton's college plan has evolved since she first got in the race. How has it changed and why has it changed?
So her original plan was to make sure that college public schools were debt-free. In other words, you don't have to borrow money in order to go to your state school. And that was the stance that she took all throughout the primaries. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders, who she alluded to at the convention, her primary rival, had a much bigger plan to make public colleges tuition-free. There would be no tuition. Just like there's no tuition to go to your public high school, there'd be no tuition to go to a public college. She was very critical of that plan for a number of reasons during the primaries. But then this summer, in early July, late June, when she was negotiating with Senator Sanders and looking to bring the party together, she agreed to change her plan.
Yeah.
Now she is saying, okay, no tuition at all if you make eventually up to $125,000 a year. That is an income threshold that covers 80% of American families. So for most people, they wouldn't have to pay tuition under her plan.
But what about the cost?
Yeah,
how much are we talking here?
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that, she was very upfront about the cost of her initial plan. It was $350 billion over 10 years, an expensive plan to be sure, but an expansive one. She then, when she revised it, she didn't give a cost figure. She didn't say how much it was going to cost. When I talked to the campaign last week for this story that's in today's paper, they told me, yes, they do have an estimate. It's about $500 billion over 10 years. But that's not something that they're advertising, and they're not being very specific about, say, how much money it would require of the states, which is a big part of this plan as well.
Right. And if you look at Hillary Clinton's website, which you and I do often, you always see tons of details. She prides herself on being a policy wonk. She loves breaking it down for everybody.
Yes.
Do we expect those kind of details for this college plan anytime soon? Because right now, we really don't have them.
Right. Well, so the thing is that she had a lot of details about her original plan. It was actually very I would say, well thought out. It had a lot of a balancing act between all the different people, entities involved in the college, in the college system and in paying for college, including the universities themselves, the states, the federal government, the families. And she does still lay all that out on her website. But she basically sort of took her old plan and just sort of inserted one paragraph about this new tuition-free component, sort of added it as a plank. But that little addition as a plank is a major change to her plan, and it was sort of just kind of slipped in there and into the old rubric without a lot of explanation about how these two would interact. And I think the other thing that's interesting is that we just really don't hear her talk about it much. This doesn't appear to be something that's at the top of her agenda, even though it is the most ambitious thing that she's proposing. She is much more likely to talk about, say, infrastructure spending, which, while also a big plan, an expensive plan too, it is something much less, a much smaller change in terms of how we generally fund public services in this country. It's just more of what we've done in the past.
And last but not least, I have to ask you, how does Clinton's plan for college costs compare to Trump's? Has he talked about this at all? Does he have any proposals?
I don't think he really has any proposals for higher education or for making it more affordable, anything that specifically relates to that. So we do have to keep in mind, if we're, shining a sharp light on Clinton's plans, where she does, where she falls short of fully explaining them, that of course does stand in all of what she has put out, does stand in contrast to Donald Trump, who doesn't seem to be addressing this issue at all. And it is a major issue for many American families trying to pay for college.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Laura Meckler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.